Hello, I'm Kevin Church, and for March 2020, we have our MUFIC Songwriter of the Month, Dan Riley. Dan, so great to see you.
Thanks for having me, Kevin.
Absolutely. We're glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here.
So we want to get to know you a little bit. Like, when did you start writing songs? Who were your earliest influences?
So I started writing songs when I was about 13 and 14 years old. Um, I grew up kind of in a musical family, but it was a fend for yourself musical family. So everyone was kind of self-taught. So I actually got an old broken down guitar passed down from an uncle, and I I did my first guitar repairs on that and got it back to where it was kind of playable. And I spray painted it a horrible color green. I don't know why I did that, but I thought it was
Great.
cool at the time as a teenager. And that was my first guitar, and started learning on that. And as far as my influences go, my father played guitar a lot, and he would play Beatles and just old 60s songs. So the Beatles were really probably my earliest influences. But as I got older, I got into some more bluesy stuff. Stevie Ray Vaughan was someone that I just loved listening to. Bob Dylan, got into the songwriting aspect of music, and so all of those kind of songwriters and groups from the 60s and 70s really influenced me.
So did they inspire you musically and lyrically then, or did you get more in tune with lyrics later on as you grew more into your practicing and learning your instrument, learning your craft?
Yeah, so one thing that I discovered early on was that it was really difficult for me to learn music by other people. I had dyslexia when I was younger, and so reading tabs or sheet music was really tough for me. And so I just decided that I would start writing my own music. It seemed to come pretty easily for me, and so I would say that they did, like, everything that I was listening to is probably influencing me both sonically and lyrically. But at the same time, I wasn't. I don't think I was really focused on other people's lyrics. I was just hearing what came out and then
Right.
kind of adapting what I did based on that.
And then later on finding out what those lyrics mean, right?
Right? Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So when you write a song, do in most cases, I mean, as we write, the music comes or the lyrics come. What
Hmm.
works for you? I mean, is it both, or is it one or the other? Or?
Yeah, I mean, it's for me, it's definitely both. Sometimes I'll be driving down the road and some lyrics will pop into my head, and then I'll start developing those, or I'll wake up in the middle of the night and grab my phone, have some lyrics, like, that's great, I gotta write it down. Then I wake up in the morning like, that wasn't great at all. but but so that happens. But then a lot of times too, I'm just sitting around playing the guitar, and I like the way something sounds, and so I'm like, okay, like, what are some words, what's the feeling of what I'm playing right now, what can I pull out of this? And so then it may flow that way.
And that's where you realize that you know what you want to say as you're writing it, or do you figure that out later? Or
Yeah, for me, it's always been kind of uh, the process is really the thing that I guess that I focus on, because I have a hard time seeing the end product. It just I'm very, I think, organic in the way that songs develop, and so I don't typically go into songwriting saying, this is what I want to say, this is the message that I want to get out. I have done that, and I do that occasionally, and I think it's a good practice to do that because I want to write about certain things. But all in all, I would, to be honest, would say that usually it's just gonna come out. What comes out, it comes out. So
I got you. I got you. So, do you write about the past, present, or future, or what's your what do you pull from? Just what inspires you? Just can you
yeah,
elaborate a little bit?
yeah. So I've written a lot. I've written some about all of those things: past, present, and future. The past couple of years, I've really written more about my past. I've been working through some stuff personally, and so music has always been a way for me to express myself emotionally and kind of figure things out. And like you said earlier, sometimes you write things you don't know what it means. That happens where I'll write an entire song and it's not till months later that I look back and go, oh wow, yeah, that's what I was saying there, and I didn't even recognize it, but my subconscious recognized it.
Right.
You know,
Put it out there
as it came out. Yeah.
It's so wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what song are we doing today?
So today we're gonna play a song called "The River Spoke," and
Inspired by?
so.
River spoke when I closed my eyes. That cold black water heard my cries, my crimson tears, it drank like wine. River spoke, it took its time. The rolling water won't let go. It holds me tight, rocks me slow. The river soothes my old dark soul. The river spoke, and now I know. Now I know. River spoke, the whiskey flowed, that old glass bottle sank down below, like words I heard in my young years. River spoke, the water cleared, the rolling water won't let go. Holds me tight, rocks me slow. River spoke, whispered low, all is forgiven, washed white as snow. Yesterday will not return. River spoke, the water churned, the rolling water
So, would you elaborate on what you've been dealing with that inspired you to write these songs that
Sure.
you've been working on?
Yeah, and so I've kind of got a little bit of a tough family situation. I was raised in the Jehovah's Witness faith, and about 10 years ago, I left that faith. And so, in that faith, when someone leaves, the practice is to shun that person. And the hope on their part is that by being cut off from your family and friends, that you'll see the error of your ways and want to return to the flock, basically. And so when that happens, they feel like they're being as loving as they possibly can to you. They think that's the most loving thing they can do, is not speak to you, because then you'll recognize that you need to return.
Right.
It's kind of a different way of thinking of things. But so because of that, I haven't spoken to my family, any of my blood family, about 10 years. And really anyone that I knew prior to that, my entire first 35 years of life, I don't know anybody from that time period, except for a couple people that I knew in school that I connected with on Facebook or Instagram, that now we chat. But other than that, it was kind of like starting over.
Wow.
So, so I, working through that has been a challenge at times. And, about the first 7 years, I didn't have much of an emotional response to it. I just kind of was able to compartmentalize it and not think about it. I wasn't really writing about it or anything like that. But then my wife and I were sitting on the couch watching a Netflix special one night, and the Muppets came on and started singing Rainbow Connection, and I fell apart.
Oh.
The Muppets were, as a kid, were one of my favorite shows, and my family would watch that together. And that was the thing that, after 7 years of just kind of ignoring the situation, that just broke me down to the core. And so I've been doing a lot of work on myself since that point, and, coming to grips with what the situation really means for me and my life and my family. But songwriting has really helped me to navigate those waters, I think, in a healthier way than other things could have. So
right. And you've also, as a songwriter, you've also been bringing more people in and artists along with you. Like, you've opened doors for others. I've noticed that watching you, from afar, because I'm always working, so I can never come to one of your things, but I get invites all the time from you, and I always tell you I want to come so bad, but I can't make it.
I know you do, man. I know you're always gigging. You don't have time to come to one of my gigs, but I'm still going to invite you. I don't want you to feel left out, Kevin.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. What invite me?
What I'm getting at is, you do a lot of events. You got some really good stuff going on, and I just want to throw them out there. You did the Porch Jam. Would you like to talk about that for a second?
Yeah, so the Knightsville Porch Jam got started a couple years ago now. We're going into our third year, starting in March. And the way that came about was my wife was actually doing an article for Azalea Magazine, and new owners had taken over the store, so she was doing an article about the store. And so I went out there with her one day and got to meet the owners, and saw that they had this nice front yard and front porch. I was like, this is the perfect place for a music event. And I really hadn't been playing too many gigs at that point. And one of the reasons was because I have 4 kids and a full-time job, is that I can't be out till 2 a.m. playing at a bar, So earlier gigs, anytime I could get earlier gigs, I'd play like 6 to 9 or 7 to 10 or things like that on the weekend. But I was like, this is the perfect opportunity for me to create an event where I can actually come and play it, and the family can come, and it can be something that other families can enjoy. And so that's kind of how that got started. And once it got going, so I feel like it was really kind of selfish reasons, because I just wanted to play my music. But once it got going, it just became such a beautiful thing to me to be able to see we get fathers and daughters and fathers and sons that come up and play together.
Right.
And just, musicians from all across the Low Country come out there. We've got people from Mount Pleasant, downtown Charleston, James Island that drive up to play at the Porch Jam. And then while musicians are there, they're, talking to each other, getting to know each other, making new connections. They're, sitting on the benches out behind the general store playing music together. And then also they just get up and jam. They're like, hey, I see you brought a cajon. You want to play cajon, or you want to play some lead guitar? And so it's really cool. I met a great bucket bass player.
What?
That came out there. That his name's Stan Maines, and he's an older guy, but he's super cool, and he can make that bucket bass sing.
That's great.
And
man.
so he'll sit in with me a lot of times, and he'll just be there with his bucket bass, and if someone wants him to sit in, he jumps in and gets it going. So it's been beautiful to see those connections made.
And those connections led you to the Blackwater, did it not? Is that what happened? I mean, because you did that in October. I was out of the country.
Yeah.
I can brag for a second. I was out of the country.
That's right.
But
You're touring out of the country.
But just kidding. But that was an amazing thing that you did, and I will be there this year.
Awesome.
I will be there.
All right. Well, we'll
make something more.
Yeah, we want to get you on the ticket, man.
But please tell me about Blackwater. Like that, did those kinships and relationships help build the foundation to move into the Blackwater scene? Is that what happened?
Absolutely. So the Blackwater Boogie was really, it's kind of interesting how it came about, because probably 3 or 4 years ago, my wife and I took a tour. It was another article that she was doing. We get to do all these cool things because she's a writer.
When you do your next tour, article tour, can you just tell me where you're going to be, so I can kind of like
you can come
just
along.
be on your coattails a little bit?
I'll tell Jana. But so we took this trip down the Edisto River, and I hadn't ever been down the Edisto River in a kayak before, and it blew me away. It was amazing, and I couldn't believe that I've been living here all this time, just ignoring this amazing natural beauty that we have. And so when we did that was kind of when I came up with the idea that if we could find a place to have a music festival along the river, if we could do it on the night of a full moon, it would be incredible. And so it actually worked out for last year. This year, I don't think we're going to be able to get a full moon, just the way the moon falls, but
right.
That was kind of where it started. And so I talked to the owner of the of Edisto River Adventures, Earl, and I said, Earl, like, I have this idea. What do you think of it? And he was like, oh, that's a cool idea. Yeah, we should kick that around. And so years go by, all this time goes by, and I'm still thinking about it. And when I see Earl, I'm like, what about that thing? And we talk about it a little. And so finally he calls me up and he says, hey, you want to do that thing? And I said, yeah. He said, I got Dorchester County Parks and Recreation said they want to help sponsor the event and get it going. And I said, let's do it. And so
that's wonderful.
Yeah, so we had an awesome team between Dorchester County Parks, Friends of the Edisto River, the state park system. It's the first time they ever approved an event like that in a state park. So it was great how that community came together. But to get back to the original question about the Porch Jam leading to that, is that one thing that is really important to me about that event, was last year and it will be for the life of the event, is that the focus be on as much local music as possible, because it blows my mind how much awesome talent we have here in the Tri-County area, Charleston, Somerville, North Charleston. They're just such amazing songwriters. I mean, you guys have been doing this. What you tell me you've had 40 of these.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Right.
Just drawing from the local area to have 40 different.
Not close to
No, the well is not dry for sure, man.
And so that's the thing that's amazing to me and important to me. And seeing the Porch Jam, the way that it brought community together, just thinking of the Blackwater Boogie, envisioning that, I see that as a way to develop community even more. And so, one thing that I truly believe is that recordings of music are awesome. They're beautiful. but music was made initially to be experienced in a live setting.
Yes, agreed.
There's a transfer of energy that happens when someone plays music, whether they're singing or whether they're just playing an instrument. That energy is transferring between the people, or to the people there, and between the people there, and it's just a shared experience that you can't get any other way. And I'm getting goosebumps on the back of my neck just thinking about it.
It's wild. Yes, it's absolutely amazing.
It's such an awesome thing. And what that music, what music can do is it can draw people together and really build community. And so I think music builds community, and I think community fosters love. And to me, love is what it's all about. So that's my way of trying to spread love, I guess.
That's wonderful. So what song are we doing today? Oh, wait, before I say that, tell us how much money you raised for Givens Ferry for doing it.
So we ended up raising $6,000 for Give Ants Ferry, and we kept back around $6,000, a little less, for to seed money for next year, because it's expensive to put on an event like that. And we were very lucky to have Dorchester County actually gave us a grant this past year of $13,000 that paid for a lot of the expenses.
Wow.
We've already been approved for another grant for $4,000 for this coming year, but that's considerably less. So we need some seed money to make it happen again. We want this to keep going on for years to come. So,
that's wonderful.
yeah.
So what song are we doing today?
So today we're going to play a song called The River Spoke. And
inspired by?
So that situation I was talking about, after that happened, the Muppet incident, we'll just call it that.
I love it. You need to write a song called The Muppet.
The Muppet incident. Yeah,
or that'd be your album title, and have all the songs that came out of that.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But after the Muppet incident, I, as much as I tried to kind of pick myself up and get back into the right mindset, I was just kind of in a downward spiral, and just couldn't. I mean, for lack of a better word, I was just severely depressed and just couldn't pull myself out of it. And so my wife came to me one day and she said, "Look, this has been a couple months that you're still going through this. Like, whatever you need to do it. If you think going to the mountains for a few days will help, or whatever you need to do." And so she found this little place up in North Carolina called Mountain Light Sanctuary, and it's actually kind of a cool place. It's a pay-as-you-go kind of sanctuary place that somebody set up years and years ago, and so, or pay what you can kind of situation. And so I went up there and I spent 3 or 4 days and just wandered the mountains and meditated and wrote. And one of the days I went for a run. And I love to trail run. It's been a hobby of mine for a while. Haven't been doing as much of it lately. Yes, you might be able to tell, but I tried to get back to it. But so I went for this run, and I had looked at the map. They had a map in like the main house at the sanctuary. Before I left, I looked at the map, and there's this place called Fairy Falls. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to Fairy Falls. I love waterfalls. One of my favorite things. I'm just going to go sit at the base of those falls. And so, I've been hiking in the mountains since I was a kid. I'm good with maps. I know how to read them. I had talked to people. They told me, look for this, look for that along trail. So I knew where I was going. So I head out and I start running. And I'm like, I feel like I should have been to Fairy Falls already. Like I didn't see that turnoff. And like, but I know like it's got to be still up here. Maybe it's just a little further than I thought. So I keep going, and then it starts to get steep. The road starts to get steep, and I'm like, oh, I don't remember them mentioning that the road was steep. They said it was pretty easy walk. And so I just keep going. I'm like, I know I'm on the right path. I know I'm going the right direction.
Oh, wow.
And so then I literally come to a crossroads where there's this gravel road that crosses the trail. And I remember that gravel road on the map. And it was way past Fairy Falls. And so it was just really an interesting metaphor in my life, where I had been on this path that I was sure of for so long. But then I came to this crossroads and I realized, you know what? I haven't been on the path that I need to be on. I'm not where I need to be. So I turned around and headed back. And still looking for fairy falls, and I see this tree that fallen across a trail. Like, oh, there's a trail on the other side of that tree. That must be
Oh,
some
wow.
Fairy Falls. So I jump over the tree and I run down. Still wasn't Fairy Falls. I never found Fairy Falls. But what I did find was this amazing little like enclave of these green mossy rocks and this beautiful river. And I was able to just climb up on those rocks and sit there and listen to the river. And I was asking the question basically, like, how do I go forward from here with this family situation that I have? I just don't know how to process it and don't know what the best thing I can do in the situation is. And so I just sat there and meditated and listened to the river, and it just all came to me. It was like it appeared to me, and it's just the simple answer that I already knew, and it's love. It's like love is the only answer that will get you through something like this. It can transmute any feeling. And so I got down off the rock and I got naked and I baptized myself in that river. And that was when I started over, coming back to life.
I hear you, man.
So that's where this song came from.
So we're going to shoot a video for this song?
I guess so. I won't get naked though, I promise.
I was making sure that was disclaimed. Good deal, man.
All right.
It's great having you, Dan.
Thanks, Kevin.
Awesome.
Great to be here.
Dan Riley, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.